You're listening to the CVS show on Phonic FM 106.8, bringing news from the voluntary and community sector in Exeter. Exeter CVS runs the local volunteer centre, offers affordable learning in IT, management and personal development, and gives membership support to charities and community groups across the city. Visit www.exetercvs.org.uk or call 01392 20 20 55 to find out more.
Phonic on 106.8 FM or online at www.phonic.fm.
It's the marvellous Thursday afternoon CVS show is back. I'm sorry everybody who's listening. I haven't been here for a while. I've been busy in one way or another. But we've come back with a bang because we have some wonderful flash fiction, we call it, Barbie, don't we?
Not today. No, we haven't got flash fiction today.
No.
We've just got short stories.
Short
today.
stories, okay.
Yeah. Today, around about 700 to 1,000.
Oh, okay. So it isn't flash at all.
No,
then.
flash would be the 250s, or less. You can even have 10 words. Flash fiction.
What haiku-y kind of stuff? Well, that'd be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to do some of those.
We'll do some of those on air. Actually,
we'll do.
So I'm really pleased to welcome the Words Community Writing Group. I've got Barbie, Louise and Mary.
Hello.
And I've not met Louise and Mary before today. You're new members of the group.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Come to do some short story reading. And there's a theme this time, isn't there?
Yeah, the theme this time was just basically, we picked them out of the hat, at the group, and someone said, how about the uninvited guest? And that is our theme.
That's an interesting
one way or another, we did get that word in.
So it doesn't have to be the title; it just has to be in there somewhere.
It's got just how you can do it. Some of them are the title, and some are not.
That's a good thing because it was getting a bit painful when I kept giving you themes, wasn't it? When I said, "Can you do Christmas? Can you do Halloween?"
Well, we didn't mind. That was lovely, actually. We all enjoyed doing it because it was absolutely it was easier. Whereas an uninvited guest is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, it could be kind of like some kind of like physical parasite, or it could be anything,
it
couldn't it?
It could be absolutely anything, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's a good idea, you see. It's possibly something your friend would probably think about. Julian.
Julian would be very interested in that.
And being that he's in the Amazon basin a lot,
he
would probably know a lot about parasites.
He would. I think he studied it and suffered to his cost, quite badly with parasites.
Oh, he can't write anymore, no?
Well, he's having a bit of trouble. He's in recovery at the moment.
Oh, that's good.
Particular bout of something or other that I'd be too embarrassed to mention on air, I think.
Yes, I
know what he's like.
Yeah.
Bit of a rogue.
And the rash takes a long time to go.
It takes a long time to go.
Even with a calamine.
Yeah, well, they have some marvellous herbal remedies out in the Amazon, but then they have their own effects. So he does go on like a 3-day sort of spin-off somewhere here and there. Learns a lot on a different level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we look forward to him coming back anyway.
We do.
So maybe he could then write us something. How about a nice flash fiction or... on parasites? That would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
It would be, actually, yeah. Okay. I'll let him know.
Do that.
I will do. Okay, shall we crack on? Mary, you're going to read us the first story, aren't you?
Well, yes, I'm going to give it my best shot.
Let's get you all kind of microphoned up. Here, they're a bit launchy, these microphones. You just fire away whenever you're ready.
The Uninvited Guest, and my name's Mary Dinham. I had never warmed to him. From the first, his presence had jarred. He left me feeling disconcerted, uneasy, but unable to pinpoint why. Certain moments have always tended to freeze frame in my consciousness, to remain stark and sharply defined, unblurred by the passing of time. Our first encounter was one of these. I remember the coldness of the day. It was the end of October. The previous night the village had been battered by a howling gale. That morning it remained stormy. Squalls of rain still hammered on the cafe windows. There were few customers in, only a couple of regulars eating breakfast. The door had suddenly burst open and a man was flung into the room by the gusting wind. He stood stock still for a second, seeming almost dazed. He took off his woolen hat and shook his hair free of water. Rain poured down his coat. I had never seen anyone with such red hair. It is hard to find a word that accurately describes its colour. Titian is the nearest I can think of. As he walked towards the counter, he raised his head, and for the first time I saw his eyes. They were neither brown nor hazel, but the colour of amber. His gaze was simultaneously inquiring and unwavering. "Are you Jan?" he asked. I nodded. "Sally at the shop said you might be able to help me. I need somewhere to stay for a couple of weeks. Some barber stells have been spotted in the woods towards the end of the village, and I've been sent to check things out. It's exciting, they are so rare. Oh, my name's Ray," he added. He talked quickly and was clearly amused by my obvious ignorance about what barber stells were. "They are bats," he said. A smile flickered across his face. I noticed his perfect teeth and was struck by the fact the smile failed to reach his eyes. Unnerving. It was true I had a spare room and that friends stayed occasionally. That was different. Here was someone I did not know who made me feel uneasy. My rational self said, "No, Jan, don't do this." But something about Ray drew me in. I found myself both intrigued and repelled at the same time. I told him I would think about it. He agreed to call at the cafe the following day for my answer. My cottage is at the edge of the village. It sits hunched in the lee of the hill. Behind it lies a scrubby field, and beyond that Cram's Wood. This is ancient woodland, packed with oak and beech, rarely visited except by the hardiest of walkers who brave its gloom for a shortcut to the moors above. That day when I got in, I went upstairs to look at the spare room and to think. What to do about Ray? The room was clean. I would only need to make up the bed, and it would only be for a couple of weeks at most. So, over the course of that afternoon, I talked myself into overriding my initial disquiet. I decided Ray could come. The light was beginning to fade. I crossed to the window. To my surprise, in the garden below stood a fox. Its red coat was sleek. I could make out the white fur on its neck and chest, its black ears pointed and attentive. I turned away for a second, and when I looked again, it had gone. Ray came to the cafe the next day. He was clearly pleased with my response. We agreed he would arrive the following Monday. He referred to his bat paraphernalia and laughed. After the storms, the weather settled. November brought crisp, bright days. Ray arrived as planned. He said he intended to spend a couple of days familiarising himself with the wood and pinpointing the location of the roost. Once this was done, he would start his observations and data collection. I saw little of him, but when our paths crossed, he was eager to let me know how things were progressing. Finding the roost had proved more challenging than he had thought. Now that he had done so and his equipment was set up, he said he would be out for most of each night. Ray moved quietly. I only became aware of his departure each evening when I heard the door latch click shut. On the third night, as I heard him leave, I felt compelled to pull back the curtain. No one was there. Strange. He must have moved very quickly, I thought. Then, something white caught my eye. It was the tip of a fox's brush. The animal slipped silently out of the shadows, loped across the lawn, and was lost to view behind the house. My sense of unease came flooding back. I did not hear Ray return. The next morning I found his room door ajar. I pushed it open. The room was empty. Time wore on. Still nothing. I went out into the garden. It was a bright day. I looked up towards the moor. I could just make out a skein of figures on horseback and dogs moving across the skyline. Of course, the hunt was out. They bagged a dog fox that day. They never came back. Woods and surrounding countryside were both searched and researched. Nothing. Police carried out extensive inquiries. Nothing. No family was traced. It was as though Ray had been a figment of the imagination. His scant possessions were removed by the police for forensic examination. As the officer carried a box of Ray's belongings down the stairs, a book fell out. It was entitled Therianthropy, A History of Shape-Shifting. In that instant, everything fell into place. The faint, musky smell that followed in Ray's wake, an animal smell. His taste in food, very underdone meat and fruit, the diet of a fox.
Oh, that was brilliant there,
Isn't it?
Yeah, well done.
It really was.
So when Jan first sees the fox outside, I thought, well, that's just like as a symbolic sort of omen, because the fox is often the traitor, isn't it, when it's sort of seen in sort of mythology.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
But then I thought, his name's Reynard.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent.
It's beautifully executed, isn't it?
Beautifully read, written and beautifully read as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well done, Mary.
Well, it was strange, actually, because before I came to the group, the first bit, I had never warmed to him. From the first his presence had jarred. I dreamt it 2 nights consecutively, and it woke me up, and I thought I must get out of bed, and this has happened twice for a reason. You just write it down, because normally if anything happens like that, I mean, I've forgotten it in the morning. So so when we had the uninvited guest, I thought, this might lead on from that.
It's amazing, actually, how you can actually think. You can go sort of have a really dry eye. I can't write anything. I can't think of anything, and something will come to you in the middle of the night. It's woken me up. Yeah. Just a word, and I thought, oh my God, lovely. And that one word will be you can get straight down and just write.
This is interesting. Yeah, that really interests me how it works.
I just do not know. I just don't know. I did write a story in the name Wyatt Earp, which I'll do another time. You know that one?
Yes, I do. That's wonderful.
And I thought, where did that come from? Wyatt Earp in the middle of the night. I woke up and went, Wyatt Earp, like Miss Marple, you know. Yeah. The answer. And I was able to just get straight up and just do a story. Nothing to do with Wyatt Earp at all.
So no, that was just a trigger, but that wasn't what the story is about.
No, it was totally different. It's one of the Father John stories.
Okay.
Was, Yeah. It's just amazing how that happens, though.
It is, isn't it?
I don't know what part of the brain is working on that.
So, I mean, when you do hear about writers who do work, as in they get up, they have their breakfast, they go into their office, and then they sit and do like a day's work writing. I mean, that always seemed like an odd thing to do to me. Then I think I've read some stuff that Ben Elton said where he said it's just extremely painful, but it's the only way he can do it. He has to make himself work.
Yes, because nothing will get down on the page unless you have got basically your backside on a chair and your fingers on the keys. Nothing is going to get down. Nothing.
No.
It's all very well thinking about it and doing scribbly notes, because we all do that. But I actually wrote something a long time ago. It was a book, actually, a pigeon one.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't have an idea in my head. Nothing. Every day. Nothing. It was truly divinely guided. The muse.
Yeah, the muse came.
I would just go and I'd sit down at the typewriter, put my hands on the keys, look at the last line, and start, and it just flowed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop. I had no problem with it whatsoever. But writing a short story is brain damage.
But is that because you've got to distill it down? You can't let it...
See, I like that. I could never write at length, I don't think. I like these... I like having a sort of a set number of words.
Yes. Well, I love short stories.
And thinking, right, okay, I was writing things that were 300 words. I didn't realise we had 700 words, and I think that thing I did on The Beggar was probably the best thing I've written, and that was 300 words.
Yes. That was absolutely brilliant, that.
Yeah.
That should be entered, and we'll talk about that. But there is a competition with the Exeter writers, the Creative Writing Matters and website, and it's a 3,000 word short story.
Yeah.
So you can really get going into those.
Yes.
But it's all somebody's taste. I read the ones in the Times every year, and I'm not always crazy on everyone that wins. It's so personal.
It is personal, isn't it? Very much so. Yeah. I mean, is that something anybody can enter, that competition?
Yes.
Okay.
What, the Creative Writing Matters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Well, I don't want to do it. I'll send it to Julian.
Oh, do.
Jules might be interested.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, last time I came up with what I thought was a good idea for a short story, I was mowing the lawn at the time, and it's only gone from the lawn to sitting in the car with a buddy of mine, telling him, and he said it was a good idea, and that's really as far as it's gone. But you have to sit down and make it happen, don't you?
Yes, literally. But once you get your first couple of lines down, you will find it will flow. Just shut the door, go somewhere you can just have some peace and think, I'm just going in here for half an hour. Before you know it, you'll think, my God, I've been in here an hour and a half.
Yeah.
2 hours even. The time is just taken away from you when you write.
Yeah, it is.
If you have a good day.
Yeah.
But then there's other days where, and then you get very low, you get quite depressed because nothing will come, and it's, isn't
You
it?
just have to leave it when it's like that,
Yes, you
don't
do.
you, really? Because
Yeah.
it's like hitting yourself on the head with
It
a
is.
brick,
It
really,
is.
isn't
It
it?
is. In fact, that would probably be even better.
That's when you get to really like things like housework and gardening, because you think, I can do those.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't got to wait for a muse. I can just get on and do them.
Yeah, but there we go. You know,
It's interesting because I wrote this in an hour.
So what was the first bit? Did you already know at the end that this was going to be the case with the fox?
No, I didn't. I did. Yes, I knew that was going to be. Yes.
Yeah.
But I needed to. I needed to give a bit of thought between the getting started and the end, and I thought, well, what could he do? He must have come for some purpose. He's got, he just can't have this fox drifting around, or this man fox drifting around. And so I thought, well, let me think. Yes, bats, that's a good thing, and woods, and I could see
nighttime activity.
and I could so fox and bats would fit with
Yes,
that, and
of course,
so
yeah.
him going out, and I mean it literally just came, and when I write, it either comes like that or it doesn't come at all. So I buzz off and sort of hoe a row, or sort of do a bit of light dusting, not
we all do this.
or have a gin
Yeah.
or something.
Yes, we all like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And did the character? I mean, I like shape-shifty stuff. I like anthropomorphic because you can weave the character. I'm going to plug a couple of books now. A good buddy of mine's written 2 books, and one's called Dog Star, and it's got a sequel called Dog Gone, and it's about werewolves and shape-shifting and dogs. And when you meet the characters in the book, they are the dog that they become. And he obviously. The way he looked. What about the Welsh accent? Was that's just what you heard him say?
spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment.
She's very good on accents, actually.
That was
Mary.
brilliantly done. Yeah.
Story of my life, really, spur of the moment.
Very, very good. Yeah.
Okay, should we have a bit of music and then we'll come back with is it Barbie, you or Louise next?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll do that.
Know your mind when the rock in front. I'm keeping on with my words. So I'm pure perfection from beginning to the end. I'm here once again. Blow your
The CVS Show on Phonic FM. Find out more about community and voluntary work in Exeter at www.exetercvs.org.uk. Visit us weekdays 9:30 to 4:30 on King William Street, or call 01392 20 20 55.
Well, I must say I'm really enjoying this afternoon. Thank you for coming and reading the stories. That Mary story was brilliant, wasn't it?
Excellent. Beautifully done.
Barbie, next you're going to read one of Charlotte's stories.
Yes. This is called The 2 Alarm Clocks by Charlotte Hadaway. You would think that after all these years, Dolly would be capable of making simple decisions. But even the easiest would send her into a spin. She blamed her parents for calling her Dolly when her surname was Mix. On account of this, she suffered at school with comments such as being a mixed-up kid, sweetie, or just plain divvy indecisive. Green and gold, or purple with silver. Tea with Jenny, or lunch with Sue. Coach to Suffolk, or train to Edinburgh. Right to Aldi, or left to Tesco. One way or another, she could never make up her mind. Today was no different, as Dolly stared at the sale sign in the shop window. Everything half price. How could she resist? Within 5 minutes of entering the store, she had held up nearly every dress in every colour, discarding them indiscriminately over the rails, leaving a trail of devastation behind her. It wasn't long before one of the shop assistants called the security guard on his walkie-talkie. "Ted, there's a woman in dresses making, to put it bluntly, a bloody mess. Can you go and sort it out? Escort her off the premises if you have to." "Right-o," said Ted. "On my way." It didn't take him long to locate Dolly, who was standing in front of a mirror with an armful of dresses. He navigated his way through the stacked rails until she was in front of him. "Excuse me, miss. There's been a complaint regarding the mess you're making with the dresses in this department." Dolly, totally unaware of the accusation, stared at him in disbelief. "But I can't make up my mind," she said. "Shall I take the black dress or the red dress?" Ted, who was more than uninterested in Dolly's question, said, "Buy them both, or leave the store, madam, is my advice." Being told this, Dolly mumbled under her breath about making decisions and choices. Ted, not catching every word, thought she was being rude, so he picked up her oversized handbag and thrust it into her arms. "I think it's time you left, madam," he said, and he led Dolly to the shop's entrance. On the way, his walkie-talkie made a spitting sound. Ted answered it. "Will do," he said. When they reached the entrance, Ted told her that he'd been instructed to request that she will not return to the shop again today. "Or ever," said Dolly, embarrassed and humiliated, as warm tears dropped onto her cheeks. She fumbled around in her large handbag for a paper hanky, but in doing so dropped the bag and all its contents onto a pair of sandalled feet. Tarek had been observing the two people in the shop's entrance. Now his feet were the recipients of the bag's contents. Tarek was not only a Buddhist monk, but the Dalai Lama's personal bodyguard when he visited VIPs in Europe. Today he had been given the day off and felt free from the restrictions of a suit and tie. Instead, enjoyed wearing his familiar saffron robe. As he looked down, he was amazed that so many things could come out of one bag. The last time he had seen anything like it was when he and the Dalai Lama watched Mary Poppins together. Her bag was magical. Dolly was on her knees crying, trying to catch the rolling coins from her purse. "Here, let me help you," said Tarek. "Nothing will be lost for you to miss too much." She sniffed a thank you as she tried to make up her mind whether to put her phone back first or her address book. Tarek, with a puzzled look, passed her 2 alarm clocks, one in pink, one in blue. Dolly bit her lip. "I like both colours and couldn't make up my mind, so I bought them both," she said, sniffing harder. "That's my problem, always decisions." "Those with lingering indecisions need to resolve the complications and become free of them," Tarek said softly. "Oh, you don't know the half of it. If only, but of course, well, maybe, who knows. I'm sorry, what did you say your name was?" "I didn't, but since you ask, my name is Tarek." "Tarek, that's a nice name. Where do you come from? I live in Ealing." "My home is Tibet, but I have not been there for a long time." The absurdity and distance between the two places made Dolly laugh. Suddenly she blurted out, "Have you heard of Dolly mixtures?" Tarek shook his head. "Because," she continued, "that's my name. Well, Dolly Mix to be exact, and it's the mixture part that's my problem. I can never make up my mind." Tarek patiently listened to all Dolly's woes as they picked up the copious articles from her bag. When everything was finally retrieved from the pavement, Tarek helped her back on her feet. "Thank you. You've been so kind and understanding, listening to me prattling on." When you need to make a decision that causes you stress, ask your Buddha self to decide. Dolly wasn't sure what he meant by this, but she nodded knowingly. Tarek reached into his pocket, bringing out a small, beautifully carved wooden Buddha surrounded by a silver frame which he placed in Dolly's hand. "A small gift from me, Miss Dolly Mix, and remember your Buddha self." "It's beautiful. Thank you. When I look at it, I shall think of you. Maybe I'll come and visit you in Tibet one day." Dolly thought that Tarek was taken aback by this. "I hope it doesn't sound like an uninvited guest coming to stay." Tarek reassured her that that was not the case, just that owing to politics he had not been there for some time, adding that if she ever did, the people there would make her a very welcome guest. They walked together to the underground station, where Tarek told her he was leaving tomorrow, as the Dalai Lama had an audience with the Pope. They parted company in the hope that they would meet again one day. Dolly watched him go, then turned to the map of the underground. The district Piccadillian Circle line stared menacingly at her. "Tarek is going to Rome, and I'm only going to Ealing," she thought, "and I can't make up my mind which route to take." Then Dolly remembered the little carved figure she was given and retrieved it from her bag. She turned it over in her hand, admiring the delicate work. Her concern seemed to slip away, and before she knew it, her train stopped at Ealing Broadway. Her Buddha self was born. 9 years later, Dolly was giving a reading and book signing at a literary festival. Her book, titled 2 Alarm Clocks, A Personal Journey, became a bestseller. She discovered she wasn't alone in her indecisiveness, and she told the audience that blaming her name was just an excuse she could hide in. "Once you make up your mind, don't delay. Take the bull by the horns, head first, and all those cliches. The world is spinning, so jump on and take a ride. You'll never look back." The applause was long and loud, her book signing more than successful, and the silver frame Buddha she wore around her neck twinkled, sending a shaft of light across the signed page.
That was absolutely brilliant story. It was surreal as well.
He was a real person, and Charlotte did know him. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was, he was, yeah.
Oh, wow.
What do you got? And the Dalai Lama does do things like watch Mary Poppins and all those.
Really?
Yes.
Because that was making me chuckle.
You can't imagine it, can you?
No. He keeps up with everything, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's probably still the little child still within him. He's such a sweet man, isn't he?
Yeah, he probably follows Liam Gallagher on Twitter. No, maybe not. Oh no, that was brilliant. Absolutely
Charlotte will be
brilliant.
thrilled. It's a shame she can't be here, but of course she works, so.
Yes.
But,
brilliant. If she can carry on sending in more stories or do some recordings of them,
Yeah,
that'd be really
lovely.
good. Yeah. Have we got any more stories this afternoon?
we've got one more.
Okay.
Yes.
Should we have some music and then have that one? Does that sound like a good idea?
Sight of Brower. Taste of
The CVS Show, exploring the nation's second favourite pastime. Go to www.exetercvs.org.uk to find out how you can make a difference in your community.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that you guys are improving the community by being the community writing group.
Exactly, and we're still looking for more members.
I was going to ask you, you're looking for more members. At the moment, we're still carrying on while the building still stands on a Saturday, every other Saturday morning, yeah?
Yes, this is going to now, our next one is the 25th of April.
Okay.
And then I think we have to that will be it until the work is finished on the CVS building.
Right.
And then we're open again, for business, and look forward, and we're open to anyone with any form of disability.
Mm-hmm.
We have all the facilities, and carers are welcome. And it would just be lovely to see more people getting involved in writing. We have an odd poetry, and also life writing, which is really, really nice, particularly people who are retired, rather than just sitting at home thinking, I used to write when I was at school, or I can write. Come along and join us and do it. There's no competition.
It's just completely non-judgmental, isn't it?
Non-judgmental, and if people don't want any sort of comments on it saying I don't want that or I don't want to read until they feel really comfortable. But there's no competition. That is the most important thing. If they want that sort of writing group, there's plenty to be had. There's plenty to be had. But if you just want enjoyment,
exactly,
just come to us and enjoy, and we all learn from each other, which is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, that's the best bit, I think. I'm going to turn to Louise now. So are you enjoying it? That's the question.
I've only just sort of joined the group, but yes, I am. I think I'll be happy here. It's a relaxed atmosphere. And,
it's a good atmosphere. It's very supportive, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was looking for, really. So,
And have you written a story yet?
I haven't brought it with me. I've been writing. I'm up at the university, so I do a creative writing module. So I had to write a story for that. But I haven't had any feedback yet, so I want to see.
We're looking forward to that.
So I'll bring that along next time.
Yeah, do. Yeah, that'd be good. And the poetry you mentioned as well.
Yeah, I write more poetry. I did actually have a book published by an American publisher, Wintergeese Publishing.
Oh, can we plug it?
It's on Amazon.
Can we plug it?
Yeah, it's called Phases of the Moon.
Okay.
It's on Amazon, so so that's my first collection. So.
Oh wow.
Well done, you.
Yeah, so.
She's a dark horse.
I like it.
She hasn't mentioned that before.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Well, I should be looking that one up.
We'll all be very impressed to hear that.
I like a bit of poetry.
Yeah, I enjoy my poetry, but I'm looking also to improve my prose writing and story writing as well, which is why I've joined, really. So
Yeah. It's a different discipline, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely. So hopefully I can improve.
Okay.
Enjoy myself this week.
Well,
I'm loving this afternoon. It's great.
It's good fun, isn't it? I'm going to read some more poetry. I saw a lovely anthology by John Stanners, who is a poet. Because I sometimes get away with pretending that I'm the poet. Do you write poetry? Yes, of course I do. Yeah. I'm not the John Stanners poet. So
No.
Have you not seen him, Barbie?
No, I haven't. I would say poetry is not so much my thing. When I was younger and at school, I did all the the classical, the Keats, the Shelleys, the Byron, that sort of poetry, and then I didn't really move on enough. And then when I went to a poetry group, it was incredibly modern, to the point that after each poem everything had to be explained.
Right, yeah.
That's and it kind of put me off, because I wasn't getting Ted Hughes and Yeats and all of that. I love.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't getting it, and I didn't want to be told that the way the lines were on the page was the same as the waves lashing on the shore, and I thought, I'm out of here.
It's kind of a bit too avant-garde, yeah.
It was just, I'm sorry, it was too much for me. But obviously there's a lot of people who love it.
There's a lovely story of before he sort of became a famous comedian. Rick Mail used to go around the London poetry clubs in the early 80s pretending to be a pretentious poet, and people just they went with it, and he must have been laughing inside so much. These people nodding sagely at this drivel that he was coming out with.
This is unfortunately that sort of thing, and there are poems like that, and everyone's getting now confused. There should be another genre for it, another title. It's not poetry as people knew poetry or know poetry.
No, it's kind of it's kind of a bit doggerelish, doesn't it?
Possibly, yes.
Did anyone have you got to read the Spencer's Fairy Queen as part of your degree?
Yes.
Have you done it yet?
I haven't done it yet, but yes, next year. Yeah.
It's good, but it's big.
Let's read that again. I haven't.
Yeah. But that's a long. That's quite.
It's a long.
Because that is a poem.
It's a book.
It's
a book.
It's about 7 books, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. And also we did Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the poem.
Yes.
Oh yes.
That's poetry as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's the word? Alliterative poetry.
Yeah, I read all of those. I've still got all of those, but again, I haven't gone into them again.
No.
And I did enjoy them at the time. And Beowulf.
Beowulf, yes. Yeah.
All that.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a revival of Beowulf because
it has.
because they obviously had the film a few years ago, and I think they republished the book, and there's a brilliant BBC4 documentary on it.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, and they set it up, and I think a couple of the people, sort of famous theatre actors, setting it up as it would have been, because it would have been spoken, obviously, back in the day. how people would have gathered around in a kind of big hut and listened to it, and how brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Well, I mean, that's common in all of the civilizations, isn't it? The storyteller in all of them.
Yes, because we did the Odyssey as well. That's the
That's lovely.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, Homer.
Yeah, Homer.
Yeah, that's
Brilliant.
so Odyssey and
Iliad.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. We'll have to do just a show where we just talk about books, I think, sometime.
Well, when you actually get into those, they really are. They're amazing. They're sad. They've got everything. Everything.
And even now in the modern world, we can still relate to it.
Everything. People have always been people.
Yeah.
And they're all there. All the jealousy, the hatred, the love, the
Yeah.
greed.
Yes.
Greed always sort of pops up, doesn't it?
Yeah. They're almost kind of like a modern drama or a soap opera, the kind of things. In the way Dickens was as well. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, are we going to have another story?
All right. Yes, this is the last one today.
And it's one of yours?
It's one of mine, yes.
Okay, fire away then.
Okay, so this is called The Uninvited Guest by Barbara Allen. Henry smiled, trying to mask his sadness before going in. He pushed open the nursing home's heavy oak door, where the familiar smell of overcooked vegetables greeted him as usual. At least it's not cabbage today, he thought. One of the carers was in the lobby arranging a vase of plastic apricot roses that had seen better days. "Hello, Mr. Hunter. Lovely day today," she said. "Just trying to brighten up the place after Christmas. It all looks so dull when the decorations come down, don't you think?" Henry nodded kindly as he looked at the gaudy display. She was trying to do her best, though, he thought. The muffled sound of the television could be heard coming from the residence lounge. Through the open door he stared at the long row of chairs that clasped their stiff-jointed occupants until it was time for bed. In the far corner, another visitor sat on a low stool holding the hand of her silent relative. He could see his wife and softly gasp back his tears. As he approached her, a dozen pairs of watery eyes opened and followed him like rock-bound limpets on the approach of a warm sea current, then closed again as he passed. "Hello, Jane," he said as he bent down to kiss her. "Who are you?" "It's me, Henry. You remember me, don't you?" Screwing up her eyes, she studied him, then said, "No." Henry bit his lip to avoid the warm tear that wanted to fall. He'd been advised to move on quickly for his own sake at his wife's loss of memory, and to talk about the time they had spent together or look at old photographs. It could trigger something, no matter how small, then you could elaborate on it, he had been told. He studied his wife. Something was different today. It was her hair. They'd combed it back from her face and it didn't suit her. Not only that, the slippers she had on were not hers. He felt angry at her appearance, knowing how fussy she had always been. He fumbled in his pockets for the old photos of them both. "Look, Jane, this is you and me on our wedding day. Do you remember the pretty little church?" "I'm not married. Mummy said I had to wait till I grew up. Can I go home today?" Before he could answer, the tea trolley rattled into the room. Its noise brought back the sleepers from places and dreams that, no matter how real they were behind their curtained eyes, the now intrusion of light made them instantly forgotten. "Cup of tea, Mr. Hunter? It might be a difficult visit today." She lowered her voice to a whisper. "Jane had a little accident which upset her, but we soon cleaned her up. Didn't we, Jane? She thought she was playing in a puddle. Good job we had a spare pair of slippers." Henry winced. Was the girl trying to be kind? She was young after all, and perhaps hadn't as yet learned sensitivity. But all the same, it cut him to the quick. "I don't like it here. The wallpaper is different from home," said Jane suddenly, waving her finger at it. "Do you remember your home?" answered Henry desperately. His wife furrowed up her brow, waiting for small shoots of memory to grow through her barren mind. I She started, but the words stayed buried. I can't remember. You can't remember everything, Jane. I forget things too. This morning I put dried cat food on the bird table instead of the bird seed. She laughed. I did that once. You did. How could she remember that? Pockets in the brain, Mr. Hunter. Amazing the little things that pop up, the lady from Age UK had told him. Would you like me to change the wallpaper? Henry asked, hoping to rekindle her remark about home. No, Henry will do it. Why isn't he here? I am here, Jane. I'll always be here. But there's no reply. Just a vacant stare from vacant eyes slowly closing on the unfamiliar wallpaper that will hold no memory tomorrow. He takes a soft hand he knows so well, kisses it, then gently puts it down. He turns to leave at the same time as the lady visitor. How was it today? She asked. Heartbreaking. And you? The same. This might seem a strange thing to say, but I feel like the uninvited guest who waits for some small amount of recognition and acceptance. I don't mean to be cruel, but do you understand what I mean? Henry never felt like an uninvited guest, but he understood her meaning. He opened the oak door for her. Goodbye. See you again, she said. The door clunked shut behind him. He took a deep breath, allowing the cool air to clear his head before walking home to his empty house. In the lonely winter light he pondered on the visitor's remark and wondered if it was life itself, for him at least, that was the uninvited guest.
Oh, that was so sad.
Very sad.
It is really sad. Oh.
How it is.
Yeah, I can imagine that is how it is, and it all felt very real as you're kind of listening to it, the way it's put together. Yeah. But brilliantly done, though, Bobby.
Yes.
Brilliantly written.
Oh,
lovely.
Good.
Yeah.
A tribute to all of those people who
Yes.
have to put their parents into and their families into care homes and places.
Yeah, and then sort of see them disappearing, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely sad and
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. Age UK, I mean, you mentioned them in the story that they do like memory cafes, which seem to be quite helpful.
They do try to help, and they, you know, just all depends on the level of everything.
But I could hear that one as a Radio 4 drama, actually sort of being acted out.
Oh, it's a play.
Play, yeah.
Descriptions are very good.
The extremely good descriptions. Well, we want people to be creative, and we want them to get in touch. And so what they can go onto the website.
Yes, it's www.wordswritinggroup.org.uk, and always remember the double G.
Yes.
Writing and group.
Yes.
A lot of people miss out the one of the G's and then say they can't find it.
Yes, Words Writing Group with 2 G's.
Yes.
.org.uk.
Yeah.
And we'll always have a link on it from our website as well.
Yes.
The CVS and Volunteer Centre, and they can email you as well, can't they?
There's an email page, and everything will get replied to. And also there's the podcast where they can listen to any of the stories if they want to lull away an odd half hour.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking forward to getting these 3 stories up.
Yes.
They're really good, and we'll put them on the CVS website as well, which is good. And then we'll have to have you back again soon.
Yes, it will probably be, reasonably soon, because we've all got to now get creative. I think we're going to do an historical character is going to be on our next one.
Oh, brilliant. So
everything historical's got to be correct, but we can fill in the gap with our own story that nobody knows about.
I like stuff like that. Do you ever read A Traveller in Time, Alison Utley? It's all about the Babington plot.
Yes.
Mary
Right.
Tudor. But it's kind of elaborated on, and it's, well, I think it starts off with a young girl who goes to stay with a family during the war, evacuated, and this was the Babington's house. And so
Did they do a television drama with it or not?
They might have done. I don't know. I haven't seen it. She slips back in time, back to the Tudor times. And,
yes, I think I must have read the review.
Yeah.
In a book review.
Yeah.
And so she slips backwards and forwards in time.
Forwards, yeah.
I know it.
But I think in the book she gets to know where she's going back to, so she gets to understand what happened with the Babington plot, and then can she change anything about it? Can she do anything?
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the idea of something that's historically completely accurate, but a story that we don't know about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Mary Renault was the genius of that.
Mary Renault.
She did the Alexander trilogy, which is absolutely brilliant. The Bull from the Sea, The Praise Singer, which is all about Simonides.
Oh, Alexander the Great.
Yes, Alexander the Great.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
as well. And the Last of the Wine. All of that. Absolutely. She was so clever, so brilliant. And absolutely accurate, everything historically accurate. And then she just filled in the bits between with her characters.
Fantastic.
And she slips in an odd character that isn't written about but could have been.
Could have been,
there.
yeah.
But wonderful. She takes you right back into ancient Athens, into the Agora, to Plato, to Dion, to...
Oh, I'd like to read that. I'd like to read the Hilary Mantel stuff as well, because that's meant to be that kind of way of doing things.
Is that Wolf? That's not Wolf Hall.
Wolf Hall, yeah. And I haven't seen the TV show, but people I know have seen it said it was absolutely brilliant.
I wish I'd seen it. It will come on again.
Yes.
But I think I was just getting a bit fed up of all the Tudor things. There's always so much, isn't it, about Henry VIII and...
Yes. I mean, I never get to watch them on any of the historical stuff, so I should do, really.
No, I think...
They have done a lot, haven't they?
Yes, they have done a lot. And I think, yeah, they have. But apparently it's the detail of every little... In her books, the detail that she writes about all the small articles that people use and which are so accurate and exciting, you know.
Yes, yeah. Really kind of puts you there vividly. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having us.
And I look forward to having you back again soon with some stories for us.
Yeah.
And anything in the meantime, if you ever do any recordings, send them through.
I will do.
And I can play them on air, plus
Oh, thank you, John.
podcast them as well. So that's a good idea.
You won't be getting rid of us that easily, though.
No, I like having you in the studio, and I think it'd be good, because what we've done today is have a bit of a literary talk as well about how things happen, how you write, what we think about what's going on in the world of...
This is where Louise will be able to fill everybody in.
Of course.
Everything.
Yes.
She goes through her progression of authors.
I will be looking forward to updates on that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if it's the Russian writers, which John will be very interested in.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you get to do that as well?
I'm not sure if we do, actually. I haven't come across a Russian. I know Tolstoy. It's about the only Russian writer I know, really.
Well, what else do you do in the
Anton
morning
Chekhov.
before you clean your
Chekhov's
teeth?
good.
Surely you read a book, don't you?
Oh, yes, we have plenty of books.
Everyone should read Dostoevsky.
And Kafka is so raw. I did read a couple of Kafkas, but it's all very miserable, isn't it?
I don't really know Kafka. I mean, Turgenev is good.
But Chekhov's supposed to be a good short story writer, isn't he?
And his plays.
Yes,
Those were-
yeah, and his plays are good, yeah.
And then his plays, yeah.
Yeah.
The Seagull.
Yes,
Yeah, the
I saw
Seagull,
that at
yeah.
the National.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And did he do something Honey?
I don't know. I don't recognise that. He did Three Sisters.
Three Sisters.
The Cherry Orchard.
The Cherry Orchard.
Uncle Vanya.
Uncle Vanya, yeah. They did have a season. I'm going back though to, it must be the 80s. They did do all of those at the National, the National Theatre in London.
Oh,
This is what you miss down here. We have got the Northcott,
Yes.
but a lot of it is very much popular plays, isn't it? Rather, I'd like some more of the classic plays.
Yeah,
there. Would
you
be
need
nice.
sort of 3 or 4 theatres really to do different things. I know the Bike Shed does some different stuff.
We could do with another theatre in Exeter, though.
Yeah, we could do.
You know,
Yeah.
bring down the big, you know, the old Victorian company, and
Yes.
the Barbican and the Shakespeare Company and all of that. That would be just wonderful.
Yeah, it would be brilliant. We need to, because it is quite a cultural city, a lot more than it used to be.
Yes,
So let's increase that really.
I wish they would, but who knows? I'm sure it'd be packed out, because if there's anything decent on at the Northcott, you can't get a ticket for it.
No, you can't
So
actually.
it's sold
yeah,
out.
it's
So
difficult.
I need another one.
Okay, well that's going to be a campaign then, I think.
Two younger ones.
And we'll see you back again here soon.
Yes.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the CVS show on Phonic FM. The show was produced by John Stammers and Nick Kiss for Exeter CVS. For more information about any of the issues raised in this programme, visit www.exetercvs.org.uk, email cvs@exetercvs.org.uk, call 01392 2020 55, or visit us weekdays 9:30 to 4:30 on King William Street. Exeter CVS is a registered charity supporting the community and voluntary sector in Exeter.